Have you ever wondered why some men leave a mark on a woman's soul, the kind that time, distance, or even new love can't erase, while others vanish from her memory like a passing dream? What makes a man unforgettable? Not because of his looks, his money, or his charm, but because of something far deeper. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and most importantly, watch it till the end, because what you're about to hear could completely change your love life. There's an old story told in Rome, not of emperors or wars, but of a quiet man who lived by principles. He wasn't rich. He wasn't powerful. He didn't wear gold or seek fame. Yet years after he was gone, people still spoke his name, especially one woman, the woman who once loved him. When asked why she could never forget him, she simply said, "Because he was peace in a world that loved noise." And that is what this video is about. Let's uncover 5 things that make a man unforgettable, the qualities that touch a woman's soul so deeply that even silence remembers his name. 1. He stays calm when others lose control. Have you ever had an argument with someone you loved and said things you didn't mean? That one night when your phone kept buzzing and your heart was racing, but your pride told you not to reply? You remember it, don't you? That mix of love and anger, warmth and distance, where one small misunderstanding felt like the end of the world. We've all been there. There was a man once, let's call him Arik. He loved a woman who was fiery, passionate, unpredictable, and sometimes that fire turned into storms. She'd test him with her silence, with her words, with her doubts, and in the beginning he would react, argue, defend himself, raise his voice, just to be heard. But every time he did, he saw the same thing happen. The distance grew. It wasn't that she stopped loving him. It's that she stopped feeling safe around him. One day, after another heated argument, he sat alone, staring at his reflection in the mirror. And he realized something powerful. He wasn't losing her because she was emotional. He was losing her because he was too easy to shake. From that day on, he made a quiet promise to himself. I will no longer react, I will respond. So the next time she tested him, when she raised her voice, when she tried to spark another fight, he didn't reply with anger. He listened, he waited, and when she finished, he simply said, "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to understand you." The room went silent. She looked at him differently, as if seeing him for the first time. Because for the first time he wasn't part of her storm, he was the calm after it. You see, that's the kind of man women never forget. Not the one who always wins the argument, but the one who never loses his peace. It's not weakness, it's strength in its purest form. Because it takes courage to stay composed when your emotions beg to explode. And maybe, right now, you're thinking about someone in your own life. That one person who could light up your world and break your heart in the same sentence. Ask yourself this. How many moments have you lost because you reacted too fast? How many times did pride speak louder than love? When you learn to pause, to breathe, to let silence cool your fire, that's when your energy changes. You stop being the man who chases peace, and you become the man who is peace. And trust me, women never forget that kind of man, because he becomes her safe place, not her battlefield. 2. He speaks with purpose, not for attention. Have you ever missed the way someone spoke to you? Not just their voice, but the way their words made you feel something real, something safe? It's strange, isn't it? We forget faces, we forget places, but the words that once touched us, they stay. They echo when we're alone. There was a man once, his name was Rian. He wasn't the loudest in the room. He didn't try to impress with fancy words or stories that made him look important. He was quiet. But when he spoke, everyone listened, especially her. The woman he loved used to tell her friends, "I don't know what it is about him. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, it feels like he means every word." See, Ryan understood something most men don't. Words aren't meant to fill silence. They're meant to carry truth. When she was upset, he didn't rush to fix it. He didn't throw random, "It's okay," or "Don't cry," lines just to escape discomfort. He would look into her eyes and ask, What's really hurting you right now? And she'd melt, because for the first time, someone wasn't talking at her. He was speaking to her. That's the kind of connection most people miss. We live in a world full of noise. People trying to talk louder, show more, prove something. But real strength? It's in the man who doesn't need to shout to be heard. Think about your own life. How many times did you talk just to be right, instead of to be understood? How many arguments could have been saved if you paused for a moment and chose peace over pride? When you speak with purpose, your voice carries weight. You no longer say things just to win. You say things that mean something. One night, Ryan's woman asked him, "Why do you never tell me you love me the way others do?" He smiled and said, "Because I want my actions to say it before my mouth ever does." That one line stayed with her forever, not because it sounded poetic, but because it was real. You see, women don't remember a man for how much he talked. They remember how his words made them feel. A man who speaks with intention doesn't try to impress. He expresses. He doesn't promise the world. He speaks the truth. And in a world full of men trying to sound confident, the man who sounds authentic becomes unforgettable. So next time you're with someone you care about, don't rush to fill the silence. Let your words be soft, few, and meaningful. Because when you speak from calmness, not from ego, you don't just talk to her ears. You speak straight to her soul, and that's the voice she'll never forget. 3. He walks away with grace, not bitterness. Have you ever loved someone so much that walking away felt like tearing your own heart out? That one moment when you knew it was over, yet a part of you kept hoping for one more call, one more chance, one more reason to stay. We've all been there. That silence after love ends. It's the loudest sound in the world. There was a man once, let's call him Ethan. He loved a woman with everything he had. For a long time, he believed she was his forever. They shared laughter, secrets, plans, even quiet dreams whispered in the dark. But as time passed, something changed. She grew distant, not cruelly, but slowly, like a fading sunset. At first, Ethan tried everything to pull her back. He asked, he pleaded, he explained. But the harder he tried, the farther she drifted. Then one night he saw it in her eyes, that softness mixed with guilt. The look of someone who no longer loves you, but doesn't know how to say it. That night, Ethan didn't beg. He didn't raise his voice or demand answers. He simply said, "If your heart has found peace elsewhere, I won't stand in its way." She cried, not because he was angry, but because he wasn't. He hugged her gently, smiled, and walked out, leaving behind not resentment, but respect. You see, that's the kind of moment a woman never forgets. Not the chaos of the breakup, but the calm of the goodbye. Ethan didn't vanish out of spite. He walked away out of dignity. He didn't try to destroy her peace. He protected his own. And years later, when her life was filled with noise again, she would sometimes remember him. The man who could have hated her, but chose to let her go with kindness. That's what makes a man unforgettable. It's easy to love when things are good, but walking away with grace when your heart is breaking, that takes real strength. You see, bitterness is heavy. It keeps you chained to what's already over. But grace is freedom. It says, "I loved you honestly, and now I will let that love rest." And maybe right now, you're holding on to someone who's already gone, not physically, but emotionally. You keep replaying the memories, hoping to change what's unchangeable. But the truth is, you don't need closure from them. You need peace within yourself. Because one day, you'll look back and realize you didn't lose anything. You simply made space for something better, something more aligned with your growth. Walking away doesn't mean you stopped caring. It means you finally started caring for yourself. And that is the moment when a man's silence becomes unforgettable. Because she will always remember, not the man who fought to stay, but the one who left with love still in his eyes. For he lives by principles not pleasing. Have you ever tried so hard to make someone happy that you ended up losing yourself in the process? You said yes when you wanted to say no. You smiled when your heart was breaking. You kept giving, hoping that one day they'd finally see your worth. We've all done it, because deep down we think love means pleasing. But real love, real strength, comes from principles, not from begging for approval. There was a man named Daniel. He was the kind of person everyone liked, helpful, kind, always there when someone needed him, especially for the woman he loved. He would drive across the city just to see her smile. He'd cancel his own plans just to make her day easier. He thought that if he kept giving, she'd never leave. But over time, something strange happened. The more he gave, the less she respected him. His yes started to mean nothing, because he had no boundaries, no lines that defined who he truly was. Then one evening, after another small argument where she dismissed his feelings, Daniel finally paused. He looked at her and realized he had been living as a reflection of her moods, not as a man with his own soul. That night he didn't argue. He didn't try to prove his worth. He simply said, "I can't keep breaking my own peace just to make you comfortable." Those words hit differently, because in that moment, Daniel stopped being the man who chased approval and became the man who stood for his principles. He didn't become cold. He became clear. He didn't start fights. He started setting standards. And that's when she began to see what she had taken for granted. The man who once bent over backwards for her suddenly stood tall, not to intimidate, but to protect his self-respect. That's the moment women never forget. When a man stops trying to please her and starts trying to be himself. Because a man with no principles will always be at the mercy of emotions, his and hers. But a man with principles, he moves differently. He knows when to give and when to stop. He knows when to speak and when silence says more. He knows that love without boundaries becomes slavery disguised as care. People may not always agree with you. They might call you stubborn, distant, even heartless. But your peace is not up for negotiation. Your soul is not a playground for anyone's confusion. And here's the truth. The man who lives by principles may lose a few people, but he gains something far more powerful, self-respect. And ironically, that's what makes him magnetic. Because women don't truly fall for the man who pleases them. They fall for the man who doesn't need to. He stands firm, he moves with purpose, and even in silence, he commands respect. Because deep down, every woman remembers the man who never lost himself trying to win her. 5. He loves deeply, but never desperately. Have you ever loved someone so much that you forgot how to love yourself? That kind of love where you keep waiting for their text, rereading old conversations, and convincing yourself that if you just hold on a little longer, things will go back to how they used to be. If you've ever been there, this part is for you. There was a man named Adam. He wasn't perfect, but when he loved deeply. He remembered the way she laughed, the sparkle in her eyes when she talked about her dreams, the little quirks that made her different. He gave her his time, his energy, his trust. He thought love meant giving everything. But somewhere along the way, he started losing himself in the process. She would cancel plans at the last moment and he'd still say, "It's okay." She'd pull away for days and he'd wait by the phone like it was his heartbeat. He stopped doing the things he loved, the gym, his books, his goals, because his world began to revolve around her. He confused love with dependence. He thought his peace depended on her presence. But one night changed everything. They were sitting in a quiet cafe, and she said something that hit him harder than he expected. She said, "Adam, you love me too much." He froze. "Too much?" he asked. She nodded. "You've made me your world." And that's not love. That's pressure. That moment cracked something open inside him. He realized love is supposed to be shared between two complete people, not one person who's begging to be completed. That night, Adam walked home under the streetlights, thinking about how love had made him blind. He had poured his heart into her cup, but never noticed his own was empty. And then he decided something powerful. He would still love deeply, but never desperately again. You see, deep love doesn't mean chasing. It doesn't mean begging to be chosen. It means being able to stand still in your emotions, calm, certain, whole, and saying, "I care for you, but I won't lose myself for you." When a man loves deeply but not desperately, he gives from abundance, not lack. He doesn't say, "I need you to complete me." He says, "I'm already complete, and I choose to share that completeness with you." That's the difference between attachment and love. Attachment says, "Don't leave me." Love says, "Even if you go, I'll still wish you peace." And that's what makes a man unforgettable. Because a woman never forgets a man who loves her with strength, not fear, who gives her freedom, not control, who stays calm, not clingy, who can walk away with peace, not pain. Deep love doesn't trap, it inspires. It doesn't demand, it flows. When you love deeply but never desperately, your presence becomes powerful. Because your love is no longer a cry for attention. It's a reflection of your wholeness. And that, my friend, is the kind of love that never dies, even if it ends. When your presence feels safe, your actions are honest, and your love is free, you won't have to try to be remembered. You already will be. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.